Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a new shell that we've never tested on the channel, and this is definitely going to be a little bit of an old school combination. Very basic, kind of bare bones combo from 10, 15, 20 years ago maybe. But if these are some decent shells, then I think we could be in for a little bit of a surprise today with how good this combo might actually pattern. But as for those shells I've got today, I managed to find some of the old Federal Premium Mag-Shok Turkey loads. They are a 12 gauge 3-inch 2-ounce payload of lead 4s, moving about 1175 feet per second. I've had several of you guys say, hey, if you ever find some of the old Federal Mag-Shok Turkey loads, you might want to try them because they used to be some decent shells. So I don't know, we're going to run these through a bunch of different shotguns and chokes and stuff and see what they can do, but definitely a pretty interesting loading that they don't make anymore. But as for the setup we're going to run those through today, I brought out my old Mossberg 500A. I believe this one is from the mid 70s ish, but we've got a 30-inch barrel on it with a fixed full choke that measures out right at a 695, so it's not overly tight, but it's very typical full choke constriction. Now this is definitely not what a lot of people think of as a dedicated turkey setup, especially not today, but we've tested a number of turkey shells through it and it's given us some surprisingly nice patterns, even though it doesn't have any fancy new screw-in turkey choke options or anything like that. So this is definitely a little bit of an older school setup. Those shells are probably 10 to 15 years old, so who knows, maybe they might work out well together. I don't know, but we're going to see how this combo does. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target is at 40 yards, and we've got the chrono so we can get our velocity from the shells. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see if these old Federal Mag-Shok turkey shells can actually give us a somewhat decent performance compared to their newer stuff. And are they going to work out good enough through a fixed full choke setup or not for 40-yard turkeys? I don't know what we're going to see just yet, but let's take our shot and see what happens. Alright, that shell gave us 1250 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1175, but we do have a 30-inch barrel, so we definitely didn't lose any velocity there, that's for sure, considering we're a touch over that claim. And for being a little bit of an older shell, from 10, 15 years ago or so, they're loaded pretty hot too in the recoil department. But we're looking more than good enough for a velocity up here, but how did they actually pattern down there at 40 through that old fixed full choke Mossberg? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. Now, right off the bat, yes, we do have a dead bird. There are a couple right down through the spine, as well as you would have got a number more body shots. So is this a capable enough 40-yard turkey pattern to get the job done? Yes, but as you can clearly see, it's definitely not anything fantastic, that's for sure. We really don't have very much of a hot core at all to it. It's just kind of a spread of pellets on the paper more than anything else. And granted, there's nowhere left or right he can move to and get away from you there. It's just not anything super impressive. Around the edges, that same trend pretty well continues. It is a pretty even spread throughout though. There are some voids in there, but nothing that's too noticeable over anything else necessarily. And we really don't have any major flyers or anything like that. It's just a more broad pattern, which doesn't completely surprise me either. These are a Federal turkey shell and they're not always the best necessarily. Even though these are not a flight control shell, this is about what I expected to see. They do still have a wad and they are a buffered payload, which definitely helps. It's just not quite enough constriction for them. But it is a pretty circular pattern overall as well, and a pretty even spread. So I do have some hopes that we can tighten that choke down a little bit and get us an actual decent pattern out of it. But this combo would make a pretty good kind of do-all around the farm type of combo. You could deal with anything like groundhogs and possums and raccoons with it. You could turkey hunt with it if you wanted to, because it would be good enough out to 40 yards. And although you unfortunately can't use lead for waterfowl anymore, that would have made a fantastic duck hunting pattern right there all day long. So although it's definitely nothing great as far as a dedicated turkey combo goes, I still don't think it's a terrible pattern overall. Considering what the combination actually is, it could have been way worse. Now the question is, what choke do we run them through next? And how tight do we go on the constriction. They are a lead 4, but they do have a wad and they are buffered, so we can squeeze a little bit more out of them. I'm thinking potentially a 665 might be a good choice here, but who knows? These could prefer a little bit tighter, 660 or so choke. We're just gonna have to try it and see. Either way, definitely nothing impressive for a turkey pattern, but it's really not too surprising. Again, I don't think it would be good enough to get the job done, and if it's what I had, it would work. And a combo like this has worked for 100 years now, really. A lead 4 through a fixed full choke barrel. If you know your shot range and stuff like that, you're going to be perfectly fine. And for some people that like a little more leeway, that's going to be perfect for you. But I still think we can absolutely get tighter out of it, no doubt about it. So at least now we have a starting point to work off of, and we can actually run them through some turkey chokes and see what they can really do. And here is the wad out of that shell. It's not a flight control shell like I mentioned a second ago. It's a pretty standard basic wad that I think we've seen in a number of Federal shells previously. It's not a full length either. It's kind of a 3/4 length wad considering what that shell is. You definitely have pellets sitting up here over the top of it when it's loaded in the shell, but they are buffered and there's nothing stuck down in there or anything. This petal kind of opened a little farther than the rest, but nothing too out of the ordinary here. And it looks about like I would expect it to, but I definitely think we can choke this wad down a little bit more and get a little bit tighter of a pattern out of it. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? As far as a turkey pattern goes, that's definitely nothing great. Would it still work good enough out to 40 yards to get the job done? Yes, but I don't think I would personally push it much farther than that. But again, that's a pretty good kind of do-all, leaving the truck or leaving the side-by-side around the farm type of load. At least in this setup, it would be decent at a good number of things. But I definitely think we can take an actual turkey choke and constrict these down a little more and get a decent turkey pattern out of them. We saw a good start here. It's a pretty circular pattern. It's a pretty even spread of pellets, not really too blotchy or anything. So it definitely has potential to perform better. But when I found those shells, I remembered one of you guys wanted to see us run some of those through an old fixed choke setup like that to see what they would do. So I figured, hey, we'll start here and get us a baseline and we can work from there. And I think we got a pretty decent starting point because we can definitely move up from that, no doubt about it. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you ever tested any of these older Federal Mag-Shok turkey loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern or a combo that you would ever turkey hunt with? Or would you want to see a tighter pattern than that? And what other choke combos do you want to see us run those shells through? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.